Hey everybody, Matthew Perry here. Thank you for being a part of our Be, Make, Multiply, Send YouTube channel. In this one, we're going to be talking about ministering faithfully. The last time we talked about starting strong. This time we're going to talk about ministering faithfully after your honeymoon period is over, which usually lasts between 12 to 18 months. Brian Croft of Practical Shepherding was right when he said that after about 2 years is that not only do you know the strengths and weaknesses of your congregation, but they know the same in return about you. That's why it's important for us to stick around. Most pastorates only last about 3.8 years now. Most youth pastorates only last about 18 months, and that's not nearly long enough to get traction and momentum in a church. And so what we want to talk about right now is ministering faithfully. Those that have gone past the threshold of the honeymoon stage. I would love to hear from you who have been in your ministry position for more than 2 years. When did you know the honeymoon was over? When did you know that now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of things? One of the things that you'll notice, and this could be a video all in itself, are the landmines which usually arise. There's a lot of landmines, and sadly, the only time that you realize where the landmines are is when you step on them. If you're in established churches, those of you who are serving in established churches, this really isn't necessarily the same thing as church plants, although church plants have different landmines that they have to deal with. But when you're in an established church, like many of us are, those churches have histories, and they have hurts. They also have joys, but they also have histories as well. Or people may have personal landmines that you step on because of various things that have happened in their life. There's no way that you can know it. Sometimes they don't even realize it until it actually happens. But usually it talks about, the landmines fall into three different things. One is the past history. Most established churches that have been around for a while had a season where they may look back on them as a type of glory days, where there was a lot of attendance, a lot of ministry. They were very influential in the community, and then something happened. Either the key leaders left, they moved away or passed on. The community around them may have changed, and so all of a sudden now they're feeling almost isolated from the very community that they're in, and they're kind of stuck, and they really don't know what to do to really kind of get out of that. But a lot of that can be because they may be trying things that they worked on in the past, but the community is different, it doesn't work, or even just the past history in our own mind and the nostalgia and the belief that if we move past that or get away from that somehow we're betraying people that have meant so much to us and have meant so much to the church in the past. We need to be very, very careful about that. But many times those landmines, there's a fear and concern and hurt and even comparisons to the past, comparisons to a church that's up the road. In our situation, we have around 150 that are at our church. Healthy, strong, it's wonderful. There's churches up the road that are running well over 1,000. Some are running thousands. And boy, it's really easy to compare because they've got so many things going on and it draws so many people in. But we can't always be that. That's not who God may have you to be right now. And He may never have you to be like that. But sometimes those landmines can get there even in your own heart that make it hard. Sometimes present, what I call PATs, preferences, agendas, and traditions can be so ingrained in us personally and in the culture of your church that sometimes those are landmines as well. Many times churches, they want you to come in and they want you to be able to bring more people in just as long as nothing changes. But sadly what happens is if the way things are, maybe the reason why there's not a lot more people coming in. And the older a church gets, in order for a church to survive and to maintain the institution, you begin to move inward and have structures to where you know that, in 10 years, 20 years, where you believe that working on the inside will keep that institution going. But we're not just an institution or an organization. We're an organism. We're a living, breathing organism that's there to grow and to reproduce and to feed and to breathe and such. We're not a stagnant place. And Just because we exist doesn't mean that we'll always exist. There has to be that continual commission of going and making disciples. But our own personal preferences or agendas we may have coming to the church, traditions that may be set and immovable, that's where we got to go to the scriptures and to remind ourselves that that's what happened with the Pharisees. They had these traditions that were so set but weren't based upon scripture. They were based upon their own ideals of how they ended up doing things. And Jesus condemned them. And I don't want to be in a position where he condemns them. And I've already mentioned the other one, the landmines that deal with the fears and concerns and hurts and comparisons, is the future survival. We want our churches to continue on 10, 20, 30, 50 years down the road. But are we willing to do what it takes to ensure that we're staying obedient to the gospel, but also being connected to the community that is around us, having those gospel conversations, ready to disciple each other so we're growing and moving and producing? So what I would suggest to you are these three things. Seek his face, go at his pace, and make his case. Seek his face. Pray. Read the word. Gather together with other people and seek his face, and to pray and read the word and begin to stir up one another to love and good works, as Hebrews 10 tells us. Go at his pace. Dave Howitt told me one time that make sure you're going at the speed of God. Sometimes we want to go at other people's speed, or sometimes we may want to go at our speed, but are we seeking what God has to say and going at his speed? What is happening there? And then make his case. Open up the word and show people what his word has to say about different things that you're thinking about. If you can't make a case biblically for what you're wanting to do, don't make the case. But if you can and you see it and you're convinced by it, and you as a shepherd need to move forward on some things, then take time to show people what his word has to say what his word has to say about that particular thing. Preach that word. Maybe a hard word, but still preach it. That's why expositional preaching is so helpful, is that you don't skip over things. Even if it's a hard thing, it's next. That's the way God laid it out. He included it in his word. Preach it. Teach it. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about a little more is about ways that you can navigate through change. And when we do that in our next video, navigating through change, it's going to be basically an acrostic of the word change. Some people don't like the word change, so don't use the word change. Use the word adjustment, a realignment, something along that line. Because I don't know any of us that really like change for change's sake, but if we can make the case from the scriptures after it's been bathed much in prayer, we can go ahead and begin to navigate through some of those things. So that's all there is for today. I wanted just to make sure that you are aware of the landmines that can come when it comes to ministry after the honeymoon phase is over. Let me know what you think. Comment, send me a direct message, whatever it may be. But we want to make sure that we are together in moving forward and encouraging one another and avoiding those landmines. God bless you.